welcome to another episode of Piecing It Together, the podcast where we take a look at a new movie and try to figure out what movies might have inspired it. But today on the show, it's one of our monthly trailer roundup episodes, the last one of the year, of course, because we are talking about December and a whole bunch of movies that are coming out this month with returning guest Jason Harris from Awesome Movie Year. And we will try to guess some puzzle pieces just based off trailers. And then we'll see. Maybe I'll end up covering some of these movies on the podcast over the next month or so. And we'll see if we were right and what other puzzle pieces we come up with after seeing the full movies. But that conversation is coming up in a second. Before we get to it, I do want to remind you, as always, to make sure you are subscribed to Piecing It Together wherever you listen to podcasts. You can follow us on social media at Piecing Pod, and don't forget to join our Facebook group, Popcorn and Puzzle Pieces, where we continue the conversation about all the movies we talk about here on the show. Also, on these trailer episodes, I always read some listener puzzle pieces for some of the movies we covered in the previous month in November. And I don't have a lot this month, but I do have some good ones here. So, first of all, for Smile 2, Daniel MIllward mentioned, he said that it reminded him of Stanley Kubrick meets MTV, which I think it's a pretty damn good way to describe everything that goes on in Smile 2. Which, by the way, Smile 2 is awesome. And then for Conclave, I got two people wrote in for this one. Chauncey Telese mentioned HBO's show Recount, which I never actually watched it, but I remember back when it was on. And as far as the drama around an election of some sort, absolutely, that works really well. And then Demetrius Sanders sent in 4 for Conclave, which he also mentioned he believes is his favorite movie of the year so far. He mentioned Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, The Name of the Rose, The Emperor's Club, and The Ides of March, which I have mentioned this on the show before. I have not really seen the Harry Potter movie, so I don't know about that one. It's very possible. I'm going to take Demetrius's word for that. I'm not familiar with those movies 2 and 3. The Ides of March, though, is one that I believe I brought up on the trailers episode for Conclave. I didn't end up bringing it up on the full episode, although I still think that it definitely would fit. So I'm glad Demetrius wrote that one in for us. So yeah, that's all of our listener puzzle pieces for the month. Some really great stuff there. As always, if you're listening to a Piecing It Together episode and you think of a movie you think might have inspired the movie, but we didn't mention it, send it in and I will read it on the next episode. Plus, I just love hearing from you all. So always make sure to send me in your puzzle pieces. And one last thing before I get to the episode, it is the week of the release of the Pup Pups album, A Boy and His Dog and Three Cats and a Bear. And this Friday just so happens to not only be the release date, Friday, December 6th, but it is Bandcamp Friday. So if you've heard me talking about the Pup Pups, heard me playing a song here and there at the end of the episodes, and thought, this is pretty fun stuff, I want to get a copy of this, and especially get a copy on vinyl, because this is the first time I've ever put something on vinyl. This Friday is the day to do it. I'll be posting a bunch of reminders, but get ready. This Friday is Bandcamp Friday. They take no cut of the sale. So this Friday is the day to buy the Pup Pups album, A Boy and His Dog and Three Cats and a Bear. And then it'll just live forever on streaming and I won't bug you anymore about it. But this Friday, keep an eye out. Now let's get to some December trailers. All right, Jason Harris is with us for another month of trailers, the last month of the year. How's it going, Jason?
Dave, can you finish that story you were telling me before we got on air? So the nipple clamps started making you bleed, and then what happened?
Well, we were under the Christmas tree, and those lights, they connected really nicely, and yeah.
I can't wait for the Christmas card. That's going to be nice.
We're starting off on a good foot here. Before we get into this month's trailers, we got to, of course, look back at last month, which I know I was a little out of it last month, and that episode, I don't know what I was doing, but I saw some of these movies and liked some of them. We'll see what you saw. Starting off with Here, which I did not see. Did you get around to seeing Here?
No, Here was here for maybe a week, but
yeah.
I am interested in watching it. It still is a Zemeckis movie, and I know, he's a technology fiend, but it's gonna be a movie to watch on a rainy day, maybe. I don't know. So.
Would it change your mind if friend of the show Joe Black loved it?
Oh, that bag of pudding.
He really did. But yeah, I might watch it one of these days. We'll see. Next up is the best Christmas pageant ever, which there's no chance that I was going to watch that, but
I think it's doing well though.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I don't want to
good
watch
for
it
them.
either. But.
Yeah, good for them. I hope all these movies do well.
No,
but
is that Angel Studios or no?
I think so. I don't remember.
I'm super pumped for this month's Angel Studios release. I was like, what did Angel Studios? They're really veering left here. So
yeah, we'll get to that in a bit. Elevation was up next, which looked like it might be all right, and it did play here in a couple of theaters. I know Downtown Cinemas got it, but I did not get a chance to see that.
No, I mean, again, like it's tough. All these things just come and go. I did want to see that Anthony Mackie, and this is not good podcast material with us this week. I didn't see it either. No,
yeah, I will say I finally saw A Quiet Place Day One, which we said that one reminded us a lot of A Quiet Place. So at least I got a little bit of a tangent in there.
I know you didn't like it.
Yeah, I didn't really like it. It was okay, but not great. Next up was Small Things Like These, which I didn't. This is one of those movies where it's like we see it on the trailer list, and then I don't even know if this came out. I don't think it did.
I don't even remember what it was. So.
Yeah, it looked all right from what I remember. But
I saw Gladiator.
Well, we're getting to those. Yeah. First up is Conclave, of movies that I actually have seen. I did an episode on. I loved. You haven't seen it yet, have you?
No, but it's top of my list once I get the chance to.
I think you'll like it. I think you'll like that. And then today's episode, at the time of recording of piecing it together, Emilia Perez, which is on Netflix. Not great. It's very.
Is it out already, or?
Yeah, it's on Netflix, and it's kind of a mess. I don't know why it got such raves out of the festivals.
From renegade filmmaker auteur.
Yeah, I mean, he's made some good stuff in the past, but I don't know. This one's kind of a mess. Next up is Red One, which it would be ridiculous if either of us saw that.
I saw this stat though, and this is just so depressing. I think so. While we're recording, Moana 2 has come out, right?
Sure.
And that's probably going to be number 1 this weekend. The Rock, I think, might be the first movie star ever to have 2 number 1 movies open in the same month, and it's Red One and the Moana 2. Stop encouraging him, people.
Yeah, let's move past that to Wicked, which I know we were both kind of, down on the trailer, but I think we both ended up loving, right?
Dude, totally. I think it's going to make my top 10 this year. Best musical that I've seen this year. And they really, all the things that I felt Cho didn't nail in The Heights, he totally nails here. And those 2 leads are just crushing it.
Fantastic. Yeah. Very surprised and happy. Next up is Blitz, which I did not see. I think you saw it, didn't you? Or?
No, it just came out a day or 2 ago. So
all right. So that, I mean, I'm hearing mixed things about it, but I'd like to check it out. Spellbound was a random animated Netflix movie. I don't know. That just kind of came and went, I'm sure,
Netflix, they keep releasing animated movies, but they never I think it's just hey, look, we can release these things, but they never put any juice behind it. I don't know why.
Yeah, never. The Piano Lesson is not out yet, as far as I know. I don't know if it
is.
Is it?
That's the Wilsons, or the August Wilson play with the Washingtons. Yeah, it's on Netflix right now.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Okay. Well, I didn't even realize that because I haven't seen anything about it. So, then, like you said, Moana 2 is out this week. It just came out at the time we're recording. But then also we had mentioned in passing my 2 live shows for the month were Heretic and Gladiator 2. I liked Heretic a lot more than Gladiator 2, but they were both worthwhile.
Gladiator 2, fun popcorn movie. Again, how do we get the sharks into the... Someone told me that was a real thing.
Yeah.
That was all based on history that they did that. So
yeah, I don't quite they didn't take the time to explain how that would possibly work, but apparently. The
one thing I want to say, though, that really let me down, and comparing it to Wicked, I thought the flying monkeys looked more realistic than the baboons in... The flying monkeys in Wicked look more realistic than the baboons in the fight scene in Gladiator 2. That was really bad CGI. So.
Yeah, not the best from Sir Ridley, but I'm sure he'll be back next year with another movie we can look forward to. Or 2, yeah. So let's start our list of December movies. First up, I was hoping this would be my next live show, but again, this movie just seems to keep getting buried. It got delayed a bunch of
Yeah.
times, and it's like they're just barely even releasing this thing. But it's Nightbitch, starring Amy Adams from director Mariel Heller. It's a beloved book. It's about a woman who's not dealing with motherhood very well and believes she's turning into a dog. And this is just a movie that I'm all over. I can't wait for this.
Yeah, so two things about this, right? One, Mariel Heller, at least, Diary of a Teenage Girl, right? And then also Can You Ever Forgive Me?
Yeah.
Both great movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then she did the Mr. Rogers one. So, like, we look forward to what she does. This one, like you said, like, we knew about it in the festivals, and then everyone was just like, ooh, ee.
Mm-hmm.
Then the other thing about it is, Amy Adams came out of the gate like a rocket, just like 5 Oscar nominations in a row.
Yeah.
And then the last 5 or 6 years, just, maybe like Arrival was probably 10 years ago or 8 years ago. That was probably her last big movie that people responded to. So for this one, I picked the little known Jason Reitman movie Tully with Charlize Theron, about the mom who has kind of delusions of what's going on with her life. And when the reveal happens, I know it works for some people. I was just like, what is this terrible thing going on here? And then, you pick your any one of your Teen Wolf or anything about a person turning into an animal. I picked up Paul Schrader's Cat People because it's so weird. I don't think it's a good movie, but I think you should watch it because it's an insane movie. So.
Yeah, I've been wanting to watch Cat People. It's kind of high on my list of older movies to get around to.
Our awesome movie year cohort, Josh Bell, says the original is even better. So just for the record.
Maybe I got to watch both of them. I went straight to Teen Wolf for one of mine. I mean, especially with the whole domestic, mundane, everyday life kind of thing mixed with all that. And then I put Bad Moms because, as far as like moms who just are over it, basically, and want to just cut loose. So, I can't wait. Hope it's as good as it looks.
No, everyone says it's not good. We just talked about that.
I know, but I don't, I don't listen to everyone.
I'm still going to watch it too, yeah.
Yeah, so next up, more werewolves. I am so excited for this movie. It's called Werewolves. It also comes out on December 6th. By the way, we should mention briefly, there are 18 movies. They're not all on this list. I had to narrow it down, but there are 18 movies coming out in either limited or wide or streaming release on December 6th. I don't know why they do this.
That's wild, bro.
It's insane.
I guess they think some of these have legs. But if
it's
any of
crazy.
them have legs, it's going to be werewolf.
Hell yeah. I can't wait for this. Frank Grillo's in it. It's about one night a year where everyone who goes outside turns into a werewolf or something. It looks nuts. Absolutely nuts.
It's like The Purge with werewolves or something like
exactly.
that, right? So,
yeah.
So a year ago, I don't even think it's one night a year. It was like a year ago, 1 million people turned into a werewolf, and now it's happening again.
Yeah.
And Frank Grillo has, come on, man, just serve it up on a silver platter. We're into this. So.
Can't wait.
I'm very excited about it. I thought about 28 days later because it's like, hey, this happened and now we have to kind of adjust and it's still happening, that type of thing. The Last of Us is a no-brainer here. And then it looks like they're experimenting on these werewolves. So I picked the Wolverine X-Men origin movie, X-Men Wolverine Origins.
Okay. Very good. Very good. I like that. I went with the obvious, The Purge on mine, but the other one, you got to throw a werewolf movie in there. So I went with American Werewolf in London specifically because of the practical effects. I read an article on Bloody Disgusting about this movie, and it's all practical, which is very exciting on top of the insane premise of this movie. So,
I love that. And going back to Wicked, which does have CGI, I know they did a lot of set building, and it adds so much to these movies. So. Yeah. Please keep it coming.
Absolutely.
No more CGI baboons. Paul Mescal, you fight a baboon in the arena next time for real in the Coliseum.
I'd watch that. Next up is Mary, which will be on Netflix December 6th. It seems like every couple of years we get a Mary Magdalene story from some new, unique point of view or something like that. So this is that. But it's directed by DJ Caruso and stars Noah Cohen as Mary, and then Ito Taco and Anthony Hopkins are in it. It looks all right. It's not really something I would go after.
Who's DJ Caruso? What's he done?
So DJ Caruso did Eagle Eye, Disturbia, Taking Lives, Triple X too.
State of the Union.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
but bunch of stuff.
Things that make you work right towards a Mary Magdalene religious epic. So,
Exactly. That's what makes it so strange. But who knows? Maybe it's something.
I mean, I'm sure we could each pick our Jesus movie. I'll take The Last Temptation of Christ, the Scorsese one. And I also will go back to awesome movie year 1953. Pick one of my least favorite movies we've ever covered. The number one movie of the box office of 1953, The Robe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was thinking about The Robe too. Yeah, I put Mary Magdalene, the one from a few years ago with Rooney Mara and Joaquin Phoenix, and then yeah, I mean just any of the faith-based movies. It's actually kind of surprising this is going on Netflix when they could probably put it in theaters and make a bunch of money from the faith-based crowd. But yeah, I mean that's about it. I'm sure we'll forget about that movie. Next up is actually one that I got to see a couple of days ago, so I've seen this already. It's The Invisible Raptor, which will be in limited release on December 6th, and is just the most ridiculous premise, so I wanted to include it on our list. It's, like the title says, about an invisible raptor that starts wreaking havoc.
How did you see this already?
I saw an email and I responded and I was like, I gotta watch this, and they sent me a screener. So yeah, I'm excited to hopefully do an episode on it soon.
Was it good?
It's fun. I mean, it's as B movie as it looks, but the premise is definitely not taken seriously at all, and it's very silly.
It does look fun. I mean, I did Zookeeper because these like the leads seem like they're kind of idiot. I don't know if they're working in a museum or archaeologists or whatever, but guys who no one has faith in to get rid of this invisible raptor. Mm-hmm. I picked obviously Invisible Man because you have to have something invisible, and then Monster Squad because it felt like that's suburban. We have to stop this crazy situation going on that no one's going to believe anyway.
Silly and wacky and all that. I put Jurassic Park for introducing us to raptors, of course, and also there's a lot of Steven Spielberg jokes in the movie. It's going very heavily for the Amblin influence. And also Hollow Man, as far as the invisible, puzzle piece, the Kevin Bacon one. It's very B movie and very horny. So I think both.
The Invisible Raptor?
Yeah. So
really,
there's a lot of sex jokes in it. So yeah.
But is there like sex scenes or anything?
I think there might have been one, but yeah. I mean, it's more just so you'll see if you watch the movie. But
I hope the Invisible Raptor has sex with somebody.
Watch the movie, you'll see. So next up, taking things a little bit more classy for our next one, Maria, which will be on Netflix December 11th. Pablo Larraín's third film after Jackie. It was called Jackie, right?
Yeah, Jackie about Jacqueline Onassis, and then Spencer about Diana.
Spencer. Yeah, which this is supposed to complete a kind of trilogy that he had been planning for a while. And of course, Angelina Jolie is the star here. And, a lot of people are saying this is probably a big Oscar contender.
In a way, I hope it is, because since she's been like kind of back in the forefront again, it's been like Eternals and Those Who Wish Me Dead. Like everything has been kind of under delivering. So this one looks like it should, like it's this year's version of Maestro for Netflix, That
was the first one I thought of too, yeah.
Yeah, so I had that. I mean, it seems like the framing device is her being interviewed. So that reminded me of the Bike Riders from this year. And then the use of kind of old time film stock versus what's current is right out of Raging Bull.
That's a good one. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that, but I like that. Yeah, like I said, Maestro was the first thing I thought of. And then I figured I'd put Florence Foster Jenkins on my list just so you could do an impression. You wanna do some
Ray,
singing?
Ray, you couldn't knock me out, Ray. Okay. You couldn't knock me out.
Go in that direction instead. Sure. We'll go to Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim, which is going to be
Rohirrim, right?
I don't know. I have no idea. I still don't believe this movie is real, even though I watched the trailer before our recording here. December 13th in theaters. I've seen zilch advertising or promotion for this. I saw it on a release schedule. I was like, wait, there's a new Lord of the Rings movie? And apparently it's attached to the Peter Jackson ones, unlike the Amazon series, which has no connection whatsoever to those.
It does say from Peter Jackson as the producer.
Yeah.
And then the director is, I think, an anime director,
Yeah,
correct? A manga
yeah, some
director.
famous anime director, which I don't obviously know, but yeah.
I mean, so look, from what you're talking about of the connectivity from like hundreds of years before, that's House of the Dragon compared to Game of Thrones.
Hmm.
And then it's a reverse Disney movie because Disney keeps taking their animated movies and doing live action. And now
Yeah.
these guys are saying, like, and I actually think it's smart because they're not going to, build out, Middle Earth again. So, like, let's do an animated version of it and see how that goes. Why not? So,
Yeah, absolutely. Why not? I went with the Animatrix, the Matrix spin-off animated anime inspired film. I also went with Dawn of the Dead, which might be kind of out there, but like they're all bunkered down in this one location. They have to like fight off like hordes of oncoming invaders. So it's not a mall, obviously. We're in Middle Earth, but it seemed like that kind of a setup though. Anyway, with constant attacking
like the battle in
monsters.
the Two Towers, right? That big
That
giant battle at the
I
end
could have
there.
used it there too. So absolutely. Next up, we got to get one more comic book movie in before the year's up, and that is Kraven the Hunter in theaters December 13th. Aaron Taylor Johnson stars in this one, and I believe it's the last of the Sony Marvel movies. If I could be wrong about that, but I feel like it was billed as that at some point. But I'm not familiar with this comic book character, but he's kind of, as his name says, a hunter, and there's a lot of like wilderness stuff going on. Russell Crowe plays his evil father. I don't know. It looks fine as far as these movies go.
So, has this movie been completed for like 7 years?
At least two, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
It feels like it.
I think it was actually supposed to come out in 2020 during the pandemic, and the shooting got delayed, and then there were delays on top of those delays, and then et cetera, et cetera.
And it is Marvel. Do you find it odd that Russell Crowe, who plays Zeus, right? He plays Zeus
Uh-huh.
in the Thor movies, is now also in a Marvel series as like bad dad?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're running out of everything, and I could be wrong, but I think Aaron Taylor Johnson was in one of the other Marvel movies, maybe an X-Men movie.
You might be right. I don't
Yeah,
know. I mean, even like you're saying they're running out of things, like he becomes a hunter because his blood mixes with like a lion's blood, right?
yeah,
And it's like, okay, so we're just fighting Spider-Man in our
yeah.
own way, right? So he communes with animals, like communicates Dr. Doolittle. And then I was like, well, you got these two kind of hunter explorer, dad and son who don't get along. I'll go Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Sure, and I think Indiana Jones is probably a pretty big influence on this. I also put Predator as far as hardcore violence in the jungles going on with some high tech stuff mixed in. And then also the thing that this reminds me of the most is not a movie but a video game. Do you remember Turok the Dinosaur Hunter?
I do know the name. Yeah.
Yeah, this looks exactly like that game.
What about
So
Bonk's Adventure?
hell yeah, Bonk rules. I would watch a Bonk movie. I'm down. Uh,
Listen, we have a Sonic 3 coming on the list, so
yeah,
what the heck, man?
why not?
Speaking of franchises they've run out of ideas for,
I can't wait. It's gonna be so good.
it looks terrible.
It looks so good. Next up is Carry On, which will be on Netflix December 13th. This actually looks pretty good for a Netflix movie. Taron Egerton, Sophia Carson, and Jason Bateman star. They're playing Taron Egerton and Sophia Carson. They're airport TSA check people, and Jason Bateman slips an earpiece his way and tells him he has to do what he says or he's going to die, basically. One of those
Yeah,
kind of single location, thriller type movies.
we like these. It's always fun to see Bateman, do something like this. So then the preview looked pretty decent, although they did show a little too much of like we know, like obviously we know they're going to have like a face-to-face confrontation, but I don't need to see it in the preview. Let me build to that in the movie.
I literally turned it off midway through. I was like, you know what? This is showing way too much. I'm done. I know my pieces. I want to watch the movie. I'm good.
So part of this is the motivation is Bateman says to Edgerton, like, hey dude, if you don't do everything I tell you, I'm gonna kill your girlfriend, right? And
Mhm.
he's like, well, and they're like, at one point he's like, you're gonna make me suffer. And he's like, who said anything about you? Like, we're just gonna take other. So that reminded me of Nick of Time,
Yeah.
the great Johnny Depp, Christopher Walken movie. And he goes,
Hmm.
you remember the line where he's like, if you don't do what I say, your daughter will be dead at 2 o'clock. Say it.
That was
Say
good.
it.
That was
Say it. It's one of my all-time favorites. So. And then it's Die Hard in an airport,
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. I put Phone Booth, the Colin Farrell, Joel Schumacher thriller.
Kiefer.
Yep. And then I also put 7500, that Joseph Gordon-Levitt streaming movie where he's a pilot and the terrorists are giving him instructions on what to do with the plane. So, just the whole airport settings. So, yeah, I'm hopeful for this one. I think it could be good. Next up is September 5, coming out on December 13th in theaters. It dramatizes the live broadcast of the terrorist hostage situation at the 1972 Olympics. Peter Skarsgård is in it. John Margero, Ben Chaplin.
Magiro, I think, right?
Oh, is it Magiro?
Past Lives.
Okay. Yeah, it looks good. Looks good.
It looks great. I heard it's like one of the better movies of the year, and that like it still couldn't find a distributor because I push good movies, right?
Right.
But it does look very good. I'm excited for this one. Not in like a popcorn way, but it looks like a good movie type way. First I was trying to think of like movies that cover the news, like in a very kind of, that's the crux of the movie. And I went with Good Night and Good Luck and The Insider. Mm-hmm. And then, this is, the Munich Massacre. So you go to Munich, the Spielberg movie. Yeah.
Yeah, got to put Munich on the list for sure. I put Wag the Dog as far as obviously a very different movie, but the idea that, spin is going to get introduced depending on how all of this plays out on the news. And then I put Civil War from this year, with journalists and, following the journalists as the protagonists of the story. So,
I just watched Civil War about a month ago. I hadn't seen it when it came out. I know it didn't catch fire, but it's a good movie. I don't know.
It is.
It didn't need so much hate. So.
Yeah. I feel like people, with the election and everything being politicized, they just came at it from their own, points of view, and that kind of ruined the reception of it. But yeah, it's good. It's solid. Next up is Mufasa, the Lion King, which will be in theaters December 20th, and somehow Disney got Barry Jenkins to direct a prequel.
It's so depressing to me.
It's insane. It's depressing, but what else is depressing? I regularly guest on the Hallmarkies podcast to do a box office predictions episode, and I predicted this is going to be the biggest movie of 2024, no matter how bad it looks. I think
Wicked. Thankfully, Wicked might take it out.
I don't know. I would hope you're right, but yeah, I think this movie is going to make so much money. But yeah, it's a prequel. It has the voices of Donald Glover, Beyonce, Seth Rogen, your boy Mads Mikkelsen's in it, Aaron Pierre, who was just in Rebel Ridge, a whole bunch of people.
No one's questioning the amount of talent in this movie.
Sure.
But,
yeah.
And the only thing I'm hopeful about is because it's Barry Jenkins. Like, maybe we'll get that kind of refresh, like I guess kind of Black Panther was, for. The Marvel franchise, but because, they picked an interesting kind of indie director with a different point of view. But also, I'm not going to lie, man. The second that Rogan and Billy Eichner came on as Timon and Pumbaa, it felt so tired. And just like, dude, this is done. We have to stop with this, So, it's a story within a story. So I went with The Princess Bride. And then, we're kind of looking back at the birth of a villain. So the entire Star Wars catalog from this century, once J.J. Abrams took over, and the rise of Kylo Ren as Darth Vader can go there too.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Why not? And, Disney just keeps recycling the well of all this stuff. But I went with the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, the TV show,
nice,
where they spinned it off there when he was a kid. I also went with Furiosa from this year, since we're introducing, the mom at a younger age and all that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, I don't think this will be good, but hopefully, for Barry Jenkins' sake, it's something worthwhile. We will see. Next up is Babygirl, which will be in theaters December 25th. This woman, played by Nicole Kidman, starts this very submissive, dominant kind of sexual affair with an intern, and she holds power over him, and he holds power over her, and she can't get enough of the whole thing, and it looks great.
Yeah, this is one of those like May December where you have to really thread the needle, and
Hmm.
we know the actors are really good in it, and hopefully it executes as well as May December did.
Yeah.
It could really fall flat on its face if not, but and I do think we're looking at possibly between her and Angelina, two of the five Best Actress nominees this
Yeah.
month,
I think
right? Coming up.
I think that makes
So,
sense. Yeah.
we just did Eyes Wide Shut, an awesome movie year for
Yeah.
our Christmas episode, which will be coming out after this is released. So this obviously kind of goes back to that idea of sexual nature and everything. I put disclosure on there because of the kind of power vacuum that was like one of those first, hey, I'm your boss and we're going to do this type thing, and this kind of flips it on its head.
Sure.
And then the sexual like dom sub thing reminded me, and in the workplace too, reminded me of Secretary.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Secretary, I think, is going to be the first one anyone brings up on this one. So I had that as well. Also, last year's Sanctuary, which was really good.
That
And
was good.
yeah, and then I also put Notes on a Scandal with Kate Blanchett and Judi Dench. Also, with power dynamics and the relationship and all that kind of stuff with Kate Blanchett and her student.
Yeah, I had that one on my list too. That was yeah. I mean, that's a student as opposed to a
Yeah,
coworker.
yeah.
So.
And our last main one for the month is A Complete Unknown in theaters December 25th. This is the Bob Dylan biopic from James Mangold, starring Timothy Chalamet. We usually hate these movies, but I mean, this does check a lot of boxes for things the both of us like.
Yeah, I mean it's Mangold, who we know did Walk the Line and everything, and also Chalamet is singing, and he sounds awesome in
Yeah.
the trailer. Like, I mean, man, this guy, Tim Chalamet, that's a movie star, Dave.
He's good. He is good. There's no denying it.
Yeah. So Inside Llewyn Davis, and then any musical biopic you
Yeah.
want, Ray, Walk the Line, whatever. But
Yeah.
no, this looks. I think this is going to be really good.
Yeah, I basically wrote the same thing down. Inside Llewyn Davis, and then any of the others. I always put Bohemian Rhapsody every time one of these comes up on our list, so I went with that. But yeah, I hope Llewyn Davis makes a little cameo at some point, just in the background of a scene.
I doubt that's going to happen. Maybe
I know.
maybe the cat will make it.
Yeah, I hope so. So yeah, that is our main list for the month. There were a bunch of other movies that are coming out. Of course, we already mentioned Sonic the Hedgehog 3, which I can't wait for. I don't care what anyone says. I know the end. A lot of people have been talking
Dude,
about.
that looks wild, man.
Yeah. I just got a screener for that. I'm gonna watch that today, maybe. Oh Canada. I don't know. That's in limited release. I don't know when. That's the new Paul Schrader. I don't know when that's actually hitting. And of course, A Nonsense Christmas with Sabrina Carpenter should be mentioned.
Yeah, that should be, man. Look, we got to talk. Well, you left a few good ones off the list. First of all, like you said, Oh Canada looks pretty interesting as far as it's Paul Schrader, and he's talking to. It's like a documentary about a subject who doesn't necessarily have his memory, and it looks very interesting. The end, this kind of like post-apocalyptic musical, like if
Yeah,
Station 11 was a musical, that looks really great.
that's a good description of that for sure.
Yeah, but Dave, you left out Angel Studios Homestead,
Right.
which is insane to me. The religious studio is now doing an apocalypse movie, so
Yeah, they're gonna get to the reality of the apocalypse situation, and how you get through it.
it looked wild, bro.
It looks completely nuts.
Yeah.
I'll also mention, although at the time of this recording, they're still not confirmed, although I think they'll both happen. I should be doing live shows on Y2K, the new horror comedy from A24, directed by Kyle Mooney, about basically the Y2K thing, the glitch actually happening, except for in this, wildly over the top version, all the robots and stuff, and anything that's technological ends up coming to life and trying to kill people.
Looks
and stuff.
great.
It looks
Thumbs
pretty
up.
damn fun. Pretty damn fun. And then coming out on Christmas Day for some insane reason. Robert Eggers' new Nosferatu adaptation, and we should be doing a live show on December 27th on that one. Can't wait. I mean, I love everything that he's done so far.
I know we got to do. So, have you seen the 1930s Nosferatu? Or
I saw
20s?
I saw the 30s. I actually have never seen the Werner Herzog one, though.
Yeah. So I've watched the original. I watched Vampire, and I would like to revisit Shadow of the Vampire about the making of Nosferatu. Yeah. But I do have to watch the Werner Herzog one before that'll complete my research for this. But I think this might be the movie I've been most excited for like the last 3 months. And, I'm not a huge horror guy. I'm getting more into it, but I love Robert Eggers. He's very interesting.
And it's a killer cast. Everybody in it just seems to be, batting 1,000 here. And I cannot wait to see it.
Do you think there will be a scene in this one where they have to change the shot because Willem Dafoe's dong is too distracting?
Probably. I mean,
that girthy hog.
Jason, is there a movie you watched recently you want to recommend to our listeners?
I got a good one for you, Dave. It is Christmas season, and I'm sure you guys are already knocking out a billion Christmas movies like me and my daughter are. And, the thing is, we have these two genres of it's the Hallmark, now I remember how much I love the small town life and all this, right? Mm-hmm. And then you have the big kind of tentpole giant Santa-based movies. So it's nice when you find one that doesn't fit in either of them. It's on Netflix right now. Josh Bell recommended it to me last year. Feast of the Seven Fishes. Have you seen this?
No.
It's great. It's really good. It's like Adventureland if it was a Christmas movie. It's just like a blue-collar Italian family preparing the Feast of the Seven Fishes, the traditional meal that's eaten by Italians on Christmas Eve. And it's 3 generations, and they're kind of interconnective ways. And the young, the grandson is he's got a girl problem, and he meets a girl, and it's really just a fun small town Christmas movie. One of the better Christmas movies I've watched in the last few years. High recommendation on that. So.
Right on. Yeah, sounds pretty damn good. And yeah, I'm sure I'll squeeze in a couple more Christmas movies before the year's up, so maybe that'll be one of them. Jason, where can people find you and everything you're up to?
Dave, I'm up to so many things. Obviously, you'll be at Eat This Comedy on December 8th at Ada's Wine Bar, which, you know what? Ada's in Tivoli Village in Las Vegas. They just won Best Wine List in the world.
Hell yeah.
And what do you do after that, Dave? You book this guy to do comedy. That's clearly the next step right there.
Yes.
Eat This Comedy or Ada's Wine Bar. Just look up Ada's and the ticket links will be there for you. I am starting a new residency comedy-wise at Jimmy Kimmel's Comedy Club every other Thursday starting December 5th. That's 11:30, late night happy hour style. We have the trivia party still going at Smoke and Fire on Tuesdays, and we're starting Rebellion Pizza on Wednesdays. So that's all the things I'm up to, Dave. Jason Harris Comedy on all the socials, or Jay Harris Comedy. Go for Jason on Letterboxd. Come out and see a show, guys. We're doing lots of shows.
You're going to have a busy 2025, it sounds like.
I hope so.
All right, so I hope you enjoyed that conversation about some of the movies coming out in December. Thank you so much to Jason Harris for joining me as always, and thank you to you for listening. If you're enjoying piecing it together, make sure you are subscribed wherever it is that you're listening. You could also subscribe to Awesome Movie or Jason's podcast as well while you're at it. And you can follow us on social media at Piecing Pod. Join the Facebook group Popcorn and Puzzle Pieces. And don't forget, we do have a Patreon, the Produced by David Rosen Patreon, where I post bonus and advanced content from Piecing It Together, from Awesome Movie Year, and from my music career. Lots of great stuff over there. It is patreon.com/bydavidrosen. And if you're listening to this on the day that the episode goes up, I believe our Black Friday sale code will still be active. It's 24BF24. So 24 like as in 2024, BF like as in Black Friday, and then 24 again. You could get 50% off your first month of being a patron to our Produced by David Rosen Patreon. You can do that at patreon.com/bydavidrosen, and we always appreciate all of your support. I mentioned it during the conversation, but we will be announcing more live shows very soon. Just waiting on those confirmations. There might be one this week, but I checked right before I hit record on this, and we still didn't have that confirmation from the studios and everything, but hoping to get that confirmed in the next couple of days. But either way, follow us on social media at Piecing Pod. You'll find out about all that kind of stuff as I find out about it. And yeah, I guess that's a good place to wrap this up and play you out. Again, I mentioned it at the top of the show, but this week is the week to promote the Pup Pups all week long. The album is coming out this coming Friday, December 6th. It happens to line up with the Bandcamp Friday. I did not do that on purpose, but that makes it the perfect day to buy the new album on vinyl. And I'm going to close out with a piece of music from that album. This is a song called Don't Tell Me, I Don't Even Want to Know, about when your cats are in the next room just doing awful things and you'd rather just, turn over, close your eyes, go back to sleep and just forget about it. Because if you don't know, it just didn't happen, right? So this is Don't Tell Me, I Don't Even Want to Know from the new album by the Pup Pups. Hope you enjoy it, and we'll be back with more Piecing It Together real soon. What was that? Broken glass. Don't tell me. I don't even wanna know. Cat fight in the night. Don't tell me. I don't even wanna know. Someone puked on my shoe. Don't tell me. I don't even wanna know. If I don't know, it didn't happen. So don't tell me. I don't even wanna know. 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 Something fell. What the hell? Don't tell me. I don't even wanna know. Something shattered and something splattered. Don't tell me. I don't even wanna know. Puke on the rug. What the? Don't tell me. I don't even wanna know. If I don't know, it didn't happen. So don't tell me. I don't even wanna know. 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 I don't even wanna
An All Points West production, produced by David Rosen in Las Vegas.